Good morning, everyone. It's Thanksgiving week. I guess we have a lot to be thankful for. Hopefully, you will celebrate with family and friends. Once again, my name is Wayne. Welcome to my world. You're now in Wayne's world. I thought today, because wealth and success is tied into a number of factors, not just making money, it's finding a way to control your time so you can control your life. Alan Lakein is the guru of time management. Everybody quotes Alan Lakein at some point in their time management readings or training. And many of the things he said were very powerful. One that sticks with me over the years is if you master your time, you master your life. If you waste your time, you waste your life. So we're going to look at time control, time strategies, and something to think about as you plan each day. Very simple thought process. Every morning at 12:01 a.m., because that's morning, you start out with 86,400 seconds. Can do good or bad, success or failure, productive, non-productive. You control your time. So as you look at wealth building, realize the power of time and ask yourself this simple question each day. Who controlled the 86,400 seconds? You controlled it if you woke up at 6 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock, or 3 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock, or 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock. And guess what? There are some people somewhere in this great country still sleeping. And my theory always has been, yes, we need adequate sleep. But if you sleep a lot, you're probably just dreaming about success. We could talk for hours on that whole process. More importantly, we're looking at freedom because you control time. And I've got some unique strategies, ideas, and techniques that I think will make sense to you as you think about this in a different way. With that said, there are 4 types of wealth. Financial wealth, which we've talked a lot about. There's social wealth, your status, the friends you have. There's relationships. There's positions and titles that some people have. And there's physical wealth, which is your health. There's also time wealth, which is freedom. So as you rank order those, be careful because some jobs lure you in with 1 and 2, but basically leave you void of 3 and 4. You're meeting people. There's a lot of people in our business. Real estate is an interesting business, as you well know. It's so easy to confuse activity with accomplishment. You can be a social butterfly on meetings, on conferences, on seminars, on just talking with people, and you don't accomplish anything. The bottom line time management technique that everybody in this audience who's in real estate needs to realize is this business is so simple, it just ain't easy. I would like to give it to you this simple way. You must do this. That's all you have to do. Everything else is kind of a time waster if you do it instead of delegating it. So I'll talk a little bit about delegating delicately versus dumping drastically. It's called opportunity cost in economics theory. But all you have to do to be the most productive person in building wealth with your time is getting face to face, eyeball to eyeball with somebody who can sign something. Almost nothing else matters, and almost everything else could be delegated to a unlicensed, licensed assistant, a different organization, pay for services on social media. So delegating delicately says, I only want to do the highest priority activity, my HPA, as many of the 86,400 seconds as I want to use for building my financial wealth, i.e. getting face-to-face with someone who can sign something. After that, it's there. Now, Time wealth, which is freedom, also helps you in your physical wealth. You're able to get and put together an exercise plan, a life plan, many ways to do things because you control your time. And some of that ties in with social wealth. But more importantly, let's look at time as a process, as a way of saying, what's the best way to maximize my time freedom? And as I've said over and over, many ways in many different kinds of quotes, this is Margaret Bonanno's, being rich is having money, being wealthy is having time. I have basically created more time every single year since 2007. I've actually peaked out probably at 2000, stayed level, and then I decided to start slowing down in terms of giving up my time to other people, because that's when I lose control. And as you well know, you spell success in real estate, CONTROL. Look at how many of you have been able in the last year, because of multiple offers, because of a huge demand with a small supply, get sales done in record time at record list to sale price ratios. I mentioned in a previous session, one of the ladies at the NAREP convention in May said she sold a home in 1 hour. The beauty of that is your gross commission is your net commission. She had very little expense. Yet some people have an unsaleable listing. And worse than no listing at all is an unsaleable listing. Worse than no buyer at all is a buyer that's not a bona fide buyer. They don't meet the criteria. Your goal for time control and wealth building is bona fide buyers and saleable sellers. Everybody else is on a lower priority in your schedule of time you spend with them, because you'll be wasting your time and wasting your life. You'll be mastering your time and mastering your life. Let's take a look at some timeless principles of wealth creation to live by. No order of importance, but one is desire. Do you have one of the 4 Ds of a tough-minded, focused like a laser beam person in the world? The dedication, the discipline, the desire, and the determination. Desire is a magic ingredient. It almost becomes your yearning power that supplements your earning power. As Les Brown said, you got to be hungry. You got to be hungry. What's your desire? What's your desire for financial freedom? Is there a date in mind? I set a date many years ago, August 28th, 1978. My goal was to reach my financial freedom by January 30th, many years later. (2018). I got lucky and reached it before because I had a specific, obtainable, written down financial goal for financial freedom, to where my passive income kept getting greater and greater and greater, to where my earned income is minimal compared to my passive income. And we'll talk about that. But desire is a critical factor in this process. The second thing is patience. And patience brings with it calmness. It brings with it success. It allows you to be more diligent. It gives you some peace of mind, some serenity. It creates some great lessons. It also helps you understand the power of restraint. So patience is an important part of wealth building. Again, many people think you can get rich quickly. And I'm saying if you're lucky and do that, that's fine. My theory was to get rich slowly. Now, I don't mean slowly like the slowest turtle in the world. I mean at a steady pace, the rabbit and hare story. I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And there it was. I had my goal in mind, and every day I worked toward my goal. I've learned a long time ago in wealth building, success by the inch is a cinch. Success by the yard is very hard. We talked the last couple of months that most of us, and we'll talk about 30 ways or roughly 30 ways to build some passive income in a few moments. But one of them was to get involved in some government securities. So as I stressed to many of you, we had a chance till October 31st to buy up to a $10,000 I bond that is currently paying 9.62%. That's passive income. I couldn't find a better thing to do in 6 months that's that safe than getting 9.62% guaranteed by the federal government. Short period of time, and right now, patience with time. We're in an inflationary period of time. I see no value in a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year CD. I'd love to do a 3-week CD, like many of the banks do in large brokerages. But I may have to settle with a 6-month or a 3-month if I want that protection. But there's many government investments that are better than CDs. We'll talk about those. So patience is a pretty important part of wealth building by controlling your time. And the phrase I use a lot is patience without persistence leads to paralysis. It's easy not to put some money away this week or that week. Since we met, sometimes you're lucky. And I mentioned this before in wealth building. I like to look at Gas Buddy to see if I'm traveling someplace where I might get the best gas deal. Sometimes I better get it before I leave home because it's cheaper here, or I might get it by waiting till I drive to a certain place. Now, it's not a big deal. To you, it's, you're saving 10, 15, 20, 30 cents a gallon. But that's tax-free money. But lo and behold, I had to drive north about 30 miles to meet somebody a few days ago. And I thought I saw a $3.99 gas price. And I was wrong. It was $2.99 and still is as we speak today in Illinois. $2.99. Right across the street, a station is charging $1 more a gallon. Patience. I drove up there. I knew I was going to be there. Off I went. Patience without persistence leads to paralysis. It's a management style. You're managing your time and you're managing your strategies as the best possible investment with the money I have. Another one that pops up is self-discipline. This is the key. We are a group of people that can't delay instant gratification. It's easy to spend a lot more than we need to on things. The movie theaters now that serve food and hot food and bring food to your table are great ideas. But you know what? They're using the tickets as a loss leader. The tickets are $3, $4, $5, $6 at some of these theaters. But all the items you buy, drink, eat, are marked up tremendously. They make their money off the things they sell, not the movie ticket. We have complimentary goods that some people buy something and have to then buy another of it for a long period of time. Self-discipline is a respect process. I gave you a number of different words to see what's your self-discipline like, not just in wealth building, but in life. Who's controlling your time? Time control. Ask yourself that question, and you know what? 3/4 of the answer is in the word time. If you look at the word time, it's spelled T-I-M-E. I, me. I, me, must be controlling my time every day to help me in my wealth building strategies. As soon as you lose control of your time, you probably are losing some wealth building strategies. Once again, going on a presentation, a seller counseling session or buyer counseling session where they're not bona fide buyers or saleable sellers. Taking an overpriced listing. All those factors. They are wasting your time. You waste your time, you waste your life. You master your time, you master your life. Now, some people just don't do anything. They sit around, relax too much, do things that aren't providing a way to build wealth. And sometimes it's called, I'm killing time. Some people say, I got 5 minutes to kill. If you kill time in the world of wealth building, you murder the success of being wealthy. If you kill time in your wealth building strategies, you're murdering the success of becoming wealthy. You can make a lot of money, but are you building wealth? Are you building passive income? Here's one more. Passive income. An essential way to get what I call MSIs, multiple streams of income. How do you build this wealth empire? As you know, if you listen to many of the programs over the week that's on this whole podcast. I'm on this whole Facebook Live through Brian Culhane's group, which we're all a part of. You know, Elena Cardone talks about an empire, and there's an empire of wealth. And I believe rental property is one of the keys. I believe online business ideas, Shopify, e-commerce are ways for people to build passive income. So what I thought I would take a look at is to give you some ideas of some ways to earn passive income. So give me a moment, and I'm going to pull up some things from my notes to get things going in this process. And most of this came from this chart actually is available if you go on to the TitleMax website, amazingly enough. The people that are going to give you money for your car title, they talk about several strategies. I'm going to hit a couple of them and let you think about them. But if you want to go to TitleMax website and look at this in more detail, feel free to, because that's the resource I picked it from. And there's no order of importance, but peer-to-peer lending. I've just made a loan to a relative friend who's starting to buy investments. I borrowed her a pretty large, substantial sum of money, which she used for the down payment to buy her first 2 unit about 9 months ago. She's now bought her second unit in the same town and leveraged that. It's called peer-to-peer lending to other people. And so as you build wealth, as you accumulate wealth, what's the best use of your wealth? Well, one might be lending to other people, peer-to-peer lending. Another one, obviously, is finding some stocks, if you feel you want that kind of a program, a 401k or something, that pay good dividends. So you can look at E-Trade, Ally, Ameritrade, and get some ideas how to do that at a relatively low cost. Another way is to take some of these government packages, whether it's CDs, I-bonds, TIPS, Treasury Inflation Protected Securities in the world. The other aspect is maybe some strong corporate bonds. Read a little bit about corporate bonds. That's a wealth builder for some people because there's an inverse relationship to the price of bonds and the interest rate in our economy. As our interest rate's been going up, the price of bonds has been coming down. That's a very powerful concept if you've never looked at that. Corporate bonds have an inverse relationship between the price of the bond and what's happening in the economy. So as rates are coming down, slow but sure, as we attempt to control inflation with the Fed over the next year, you'll see bond prices go up. So a lot of people looked at the bond market as a relatively unique place to be there instead of the stock market, because bonds, the company owes you. Stocks, you own the company. Bonds have to be paid off first. There's index funds. There's a number of different things. I'm just throwing some things out. You might make a note of a few of these. Some you won't like, some you won't do. Many times, I've spent some of my time helping people start their businesses, and I take a piece of the pie. I don't ask for any money up front. I'll help you with your business plan. I'll help you with your marketing, your advertising, and I'll take a percent of the company if I think it's going to be good. Some of the principles of Shark Tank. Been doing that for years, just didn't call it Shark Tank. Buying existing businesses. You've got websites like Flips, like Biz Buy Sell. These are all websites that allow you to look at buying some businesses and then leave the staff in place and create some passive income. Real estate rentals, B&Bs, and those aspects are a big part of people's lives today. Vacation rentals, VRBO. We've got people that go through website ads. We've got people that are influencers. We've got vehicle ad space. Have you seen some of the cars where people are having logos on there and all kinds of things wrapped on the car? Rapify is a great website to look at. Rapify lets you use your car. Carvertise. I actually have my car leased out to people on one of my cars, leased out to people on weekends for weddings. I've got a company in this area that says we could have your car earn some income. If you're willing to let somebody use it for a wedding reception, they clean it, they detail it, there's a deposit, it's insured. The company is leasing out exotic cars and I guess you'd say cars that people might want to use for a one-time affair or a special business trip. So my car oftentimes is not available to me on a weekend, but I've earned a substantial amount of money by just renting it out in the process. People writing ebooks. I've got a couple of ebooks on negotiations, on wealth building, and those are available for people. Audiobooks, online courses. We could go on and on with a lot of different kinds of things you can do. Some people license some things they have. Many musicians license their music. Many people license a lot of things in the process. So licensing is a big, big part of the real world. Oh, let me give you a few more as I'm looking out on some things. Some people take a hobby and turn it into a multiple stream of income, whether it's relaxed doing some paintings or other kinds of things. Interestingly enough, in the Chicagoland area, I was privileged to sell many, many firemen laundromats. It seems to me that firemen and police like laundromats. And even looking at my rental properties, having ancillary machines, building garages and renting them out over and above the rent. Having laundry facilities, storage facilities, vending machines. Those all add income that is passive in nature. You see the process unfold. So there are a lot of different ways to earn passive income. As I said, everything I just been sharing for the last few minutes is on the TitleMax website. I think it's called 30 Ways to Earn Passive Income. Some you probably won't like, some you will. The point is they are all powerful, powerful ways to do certain things. With that said, great book. Great book. Nothing brand new in some cases, but for many of you, a lot of things brand new. Gaining freedom, avoiding burnout, using time leverage for wealth. The secrets the rich won't tell you. It's not the newest book, but it's one of the better books that ties in time control and wealth growth. I would suggest strongly you take a moment to look at that. Strongly take a moment to look at that. And speaking of time control, many of you have seen this before in different ways. The rule of 72s, which is the one most commonly used. For example, right now we had inflation at around 9% at its highest. It's down into the low 8s, and some people say 7, but it's still in the 8s, I think, in most markets. But that means that if it stayed at 9% in 8 years, that investment of yours would double. So whether it's real estate, whether it's the money you put into a I-bond or some other kind of investment, the rule of 72 says your investment or your money or prices will double every 8 years if the interest rate's at 9%. If it goes down to 6, it'll take 12 years. If it goes down to 4, it'll take 18 years. So right now we're seeing some strategies that if you can find some long-term investments that are paying above market, I mean, let's assume that I-bond I bought stays at that rate. I doubt if it will, but let's assume it does. 9.62%, roughly 10% interest. That means in 7 years, my investment doubled. If I gave them 100, I got 200. If I maxed at 10,000, I got 20,000. I like the rule of 72s, but because I'm a real estate investor, I want things to happen a bit faster, or I'm looking for my long-term plan. So the rule of 114s tells me how fast my investment will triple by taking the rate of return into 114. And to really see the long-term growth of maybe an investment property you buy and leverage and keep a 30-year mortgage on, the rule of 144s, how soon it quadruples. So that $100,000 property you bought, if we're at 4%, every 18 years it doubles. Roughly by the 30-year mark, it's almost quadrupled. It's tripled. It's more than tripled its value. And if you leveraged it by putting very little or no money down, it's a tremendous return on your investment, plus all the tax benefits of being a real estate investor. Passive loss rules with depreciation, writing off all your expenses, Section 179 deduction. Gosh, I could go on and on with that. But this just gives you a good feel for how soon my investment will double, triple, or quadruple. And again, with real estate as the investment, it's leveraged. So I don't need to buy all of the investment price with all my own money. I can use almost all or all of my investment with a loan, a first or a second. Maybe it's that first mortgage and I find peer-to-peer lending for the second, like I did with my friend. She got a first mortgage on her 2-unit. I gave her a peer-to-peer financing to cover the down payment. So she has 2 loans to pay. Her rents were covered, and she's got a positive cash flow before taxes on a property. And now she bought her second property in the last, I think, 6 weeks or so. It all started with peer-to-peer lending and a loan and searching for the right property. All of us can do that. As you well know, in Wayne's World, every single year you are a realtor. You should be buying at least 2 income properties per year. And as we see inflation in front of us, I really feel it's this year is the time to think about maybe trying to flip if you haven't. So maybe you should be buying 3 this year by flipping 1 and keeping 2. Or if you want to buy 4, flip 2 and keep 2. But I think the chance of a lifetime, at least in the short period of time, would be looking at some advantages because wealth will be transferring. I happened to go to a grocery store 2 days ago to get some fruit. Found a nice fruit store called Mangoes. Next door, a pawn shop opened up. And I'm noticing there's more pawn shops opening up in my market areas I travel. A lot of shopping centers, I'm seeing pawn shops open up. Why? People need money. They're transferring wealth. In this pawn shop, I've never seen this before. A Harley Davidson, beautiful bike, gorgeous bike. Somebody had to pawn that because of what we're facing. They've pawned their motorcycle to get some money, probably to cover their expenses. So please realize the power and the process of wealth being transferred from one group of people to another group of people. You always want to be the transferee of the wealth. And this is the next 12 to 16 months. I think you're going to see some wealth transfer opportunities where if you are the person I know you can be, you'll be the transferee of wealth versus the transferor of wealth. You're seeing more ads on eBay. You're seeing more ads on OfferUp and in Facebook Marketplace. More people are selling things. That means they are losing wealth. They need to get rid of some of their stuff. I bought something that I normally pay around $500 to $600 for. I just went to pick it up about maybe 3 weeks ago for $100. I had to pay $40 to have it delivered. That person needed to transfer wealth. I found it on Craigslist, and it's now in my house. People, this is the time. This is the time. Looking at this perspective, speaking of time, what are some smart time management techniques? Well, in looking at this, let's take the word SMART, S-M-A-R-T. How are you scheduling your time? Do you schedule a week ahead? Do you check your schedule before? Do you find ways to make your time more productive? That's the M. I mean, some people are here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then here. Some people have a flow. I learned a long time ago from a tax perspective. I always, every day, drive by one of my income properties so I can actually have a tax deduction. So I actually can have a tax deduction of my mileage. When I leave my home, the first place I go to in the morning is my P.O. box. So I can start my day with a tax deduction. So how do I schedule time? How do I make time productive? Then, do I allow enough time? i.e., if you go on Waze, it tells you when you should start. We're seeing more and more technology help us with traffic flow to get places on time. The worst thing a salesperson can do is be late. Let me give you a smart time management technique, not necessarily a wealth builder, but a technique. I always, or almost always, try to avoid an appointment with a client on the full hour, quarter hour, or half hour. We all know the best way to get appointments are alternate of choice. Can I meet you at this time today or that time today? Can I meet you today at this time or tomorrow at that time? I learned a long time ago, traveling on the metro trains from home to Chicago for some businesses I had. I realized something. The train schedule is not on a quarter, half hour. Sometimes the train left at 7:37 or 9:42. And I realized if I didn't understand that time perspective, didn't allow enough time, and I got there at 9:38, I watched the train move out. And sometimes I had to spend my whole night in my office building in Chicago because I had no way of getting home. It was the last train. So I started to realize, wow, they're really on a schedule. And so now my theory is if I'm meeting you to talk about you signing a buyer agency agreement or listing your property with me, my alternative choice is, hi, I'd like to meet you. Is tonight about 7:23 or 8:17 better for you? Can I meet you today at 12:17 or tomorrow at 1:13? Because you see, if I say 1:13 or 12:17, guess what? I got some room to wiggle. But if I say I'll meet you at 1, and for whatever reason, it's 1:02, what are they doing? Hey, where's that Wayne guy? Supposed to be here at 1 o'clock. He's late. Better late than never, but better never late. Now, that's the time management technique. It doesn't necessarily build wealth, but it builds respect. And respect, as you saw, was one of the parts of self-discipline as a strategy. Allow time. Ration time. Again, not everybody deserves the same amount of your time. You have to put things in perspective. You got A clients, B clients, and C clients. How many of you have a friend in this business who's spending a lot of time with an overpriced seller or not a bona fide buyer? They've looked at 44 houses. You got to ration your time. Nobody needs to look at 44 houses or more than that. And nobody needs to be involved in an overpriced listing unless you have a long listing time. Because some people are testing the market. That's fine. Just give me a lot of time. Time control is wealth building. See, our license law in every state says you, as long as you have a beginning date and an ending date on an agreement with your buyers or sellers, it could be for 1 day, 1 hour, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade. The longest listing I ever took was 9 years because they wanted too much money. 2007. They wanted so much money. I couldn't get that money for them checking the comps. So when I went in there, I put the end date of the listing, 2016. And that seller said, whoa, Wayne, what's going on here? I said, what do you mean? I'm getting you the 700,000 you want. Yeah, but that's 9 years away. I said, yeah, I can't do magic. It's going to take 9 years to get this price up to 700,000 based on what I see as your professional realtor. Ha ha ha. See, you give me time, I'll give you price. You want price, you got to give me time. And we saw that happen. But so a 9-year listing, it did sell long before that because she finally listed at something. I said, let me show you something. But the bottom line is, I'm in no hurry. If you're in no hurry, we'll find the price. It'll happen. Now you may say, oh, that's weird. That's crazy. Guess what? It worked for me. See, everything I share doesn't work all the time, but a lot of it works all of the time. Some of it works most of the time. All of it works on a regular basis. Please be careful that you are rationing time and controlling that time. Because as soon as you don't ration time, and some of you are good at that, you tell people up front, you got 30 minutes, or I'll be here, I got a 20-minute window. We see a lot of people who ration time, and they do very well. And then the key is take time. Take time to be productive. Take time to fraternize. Take time to reflect. Take time to be with family. Take time to schedule. In fact, I'll go back one step. I learned many years ago from my mentor to schedule a day and a half off a week in real estate. So my life, at the most active time I was, with carrying 70 listings or more on a regular basis, was always a day and a half off. Could be different days, but my life was 2 12s, 3 9s, and a 3. 2 12-hour days, 3 9-hour days, 1 3-hour day. 54 hours. Every so often, I'd have to squeeze that a little bit or stretch it a little bit. But for all practical purposes, everybody knew I worked 5.5 days. I controlled my time. I scheduled my time. I made it productive. I allowed, I rationed, and I took. That's all I can do. So as you control your time, you control your life. Now, why did I use 54 hours? Well, I didn't realize it, but there were some studies that were done. There was a large study done of 15,000 real estate agents, asking them a lot about how they spent their time and how many hours they worked a week and how much money they made. There was an interesting correlation. They took the people that said they worked 40 hours, which we thought back then, and maybe still do, that the typical work week is 40 hours. Now, I know that's changing with flexibility time and 4-day work weeks and everything else. But the bottom line is that was a kind of a full-time job, 40 hours, you're in control. How do you work? And they found the people that worked 40 hours of all those people that were surveyed, 15,000 plus, earned X amount of dollars. They then found out the people that said they worked 10 hours longer, they said their work week in real estate was 50 hours. Some said 60, few said 70, a minute group said 80. But the sweet spot was the people that said they worked just 10 hours more. Those 15,000 plus people averaged 35% more income for 10 hours of extra work. This is a no-brainer to me. Why would I not want to spend 10 more hours in my week to earn 35% more money? That's how I got to 2 12s, 3 9s, and a 3 along with my mentor. Scheduling a day and a half off. And I know some people that work 12 hours every day. That's their choice too. That's why I said we have some people that work 80, some work 70, some work 60, some work 50, some work 40, and some work 30. We have some people in a referral network, they just work on referrals and they might only be 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a week. As long as you get 750 hours in, the IRS gives you the benefit of tax deductions. That's the magic number. If they ever audit you, they want to see that this is a business, not a hobby. That's roughly 15 hours a week. I don't think I've ever known anybody they've took to task on that. There probably is, but at least that's the mindset of the IRS. That should be the minimum if you're going to keep this as a business, So the smart time management technique is look at your schedule. How is it working? In that schedule, how are you making your time productive? i.e., when you take breaks, when you go to lunch, do you network? What kind of time do you make phone calls? How do you handle return calls? Do you do more texting? Some of the research is showing that 9 out of 10 conversations using a smartphone can be done better with text messaging than leaving messages in their voicemail. 9 out of 10 can be handled better. Are you allowing enough time? Again, in the time it takes to find a bona fide buyer of property, the time it takes to take a property from I'm listing it with you today till we close, the list to sale price ratio and the days on market. How are you rationing your time? And above all, are you taking time to be productive? Now, as you look at wealth building, I think the key you want to leave here with is very powerfully the rule of 72s, 114s, to see how your money doubles or triples or 144. But wealth building is built on time control. And the more passive income you create, that's why the Title Max article I'd suggest you read in detail gives you a lot of options and gives you a lot of websites to look at. Rather than put it up here and list all the websites, I'm suggesting If you're looking for homework in Wayne's World, it'd be to look at that article to see which one of those 30 methods they suggest would work best for you as you plan your 2023 business plan. We're back to multiple streams of income. And the goal is very simple. A good wealth building time management strategy is creating more passive income than earned income. Because earned income, you're trading time for money. You got to put in the time to make the money. A passive income stream is where stuff just comes. We're getting close to the end of the month. In another week or so, we'll be in December. I'll be traveling. On December 1st, I will not be home. I think I come back December 2nd. I got to look at my schedule. But I know December 1st, I'm going to be gone. But I know something else on December 1st. I can check my bank accounts online and see rents deposited. Some from the government for housing choice vouchers, some from tenants. And so I am traveling and earning income. How many of you have listings that are selling while you're taking a trip or visiting your kids in college or meeting some friends for a weekend someplace, or maybe traveling for Thanksgiving? Some of you will do business on the Thanksgiving weekend and not be in the town that the real estate is in or where you normally sell. Those are powerful tools, people. Powerful tools. So as we look at some things, let's go back and realize the rule of 72s is an easy one. Rule of 144 is just puts it in perspective over the long haul. Because again, the 30-year mortgage is still typical for most investors. Also realize that, again, there are good books out there on time control. If you want the history from the guru, Alan Lakein, Lakein, that's the man who probably every book like this, every seminar that people do like me, is going to put some of his items on there because he was the guru of time management. Also realize that as we wind this down, we looked at these different ways to earn passive income. And again, my theory is you need multiple streams. The more prongs I have holding up my building, the better off it's going to be. Plus, I also know something else. As I have strong passive income resources, the deeper my passive income stream, the more wealthier I become. The stronger my passive income stream is. As I have more buildings, as I have better quality buildings, I earn above market rates. Some people are in investments that don't do much for them in terms of cash flow. That's not bad if that's your strategy. Maybe you're looking for a long-term appreciation. See, that's the other beauty about real estate as an investment for passive income. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. Some people want cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. At the beginning, some people say, I can wait for cash flow. I just want to break even and take some tax benefits while my property is growing in value, and it grows faster when you leverage with other people's money. Other people's money is a tremendous thing to use. I mean, I don't think my friend who bought her first property would have been able to buy it yet if she had to wait to have the down payment money that I was able to give her from this peer-to-peer lending. And right now, many investors are able to leave money out there for people to use. I'm at a point personally where I don't mind if the investment is good, putting some money up for it. I'll take that return, especially when interest rates are at 6, 7%, 8% for this. Maybe somebody can do a 9 or 10% loan with me securing the property as a second mortgage. That's better than I could do, and it's safe. A lot of things we're going to cover here, but above all, realize the power of passive income. It creates lots of streams of income and builds a wealth empire using rental property. Now, there's other ways, but it's harder to build wealth when you have to pay for the whole thing up front. Sure, you can buy gold and silver, but they want all the money. It's kind of hard to go to a bank because I need $20,000 to buy $100,000 worth of gold. You know, I like to borrow 80, or I need 30, I'm going to borrow 70. They're not too fond about that, but they'll gladly give you money to buy home. Do you know most of the major banks will not lend you money to buy their stock, but will lend you money to buy real estate? Wow. You want to buy some of their shares of stock, you got to pay up front. You want to buy real estate, you might be able to borrow 70, 80, 90, maybe 100% in a number of different ways. Also realize very simply the beauty of self-discipline. That's really a key. See, wealth building is a consistent, persistent process of doing so much every year. The most simplest thing in the world is to every January 1st, make one additional principal payment. One additional principal payment. And you knock off 7, 8 years of your mortgage loan. Or to do a biweekly mortgage. Instead of paying $2,000 a month, pay $1,000 every 2 weeks. You knock off about 7 years of the mortgage. 84 payments? Wow, that adds up. And if you move out before then, you're building up equity faster to buy your next home or whatever. Plus, there's all other kinds of using HELOCs, etc. We've covered those before. I'm just saying self-discipline is a key. Borrow as much as you can, pay it off as fast as you can. You will be a wealth builder, and use it as often as you can. And then above all, this process with self-discipline needs to have the patience behind it. Again, I don't see something happening real fast. I've seen some people who've made great money overnight, but lost great money overnight. So I've always felt the patient process of investing. As long as I'm consistent and persistent and realize patience, because patience without that persistence leads to paralysis. And I don't do much with my investments. Again, I started telling people back in January, buy 2 income properties a year. It's now November. Did they buy 2? Some of you heard this back in January. Buy 2 properties a year. Did you? Well, you still got a month, but you put a lot of pressure there. And then above all, we talked about one of the 4 Ds of what I feel is a powerful person, your desire, your yearning power to want to control your time to build wealth. You waste your time, you waste your life. You can't build wealth doing low priority activities that are not focused like a laser beam on your ultimate goal, whether it's spending so much time to do this, that, these, or those. But there's also the dedication and the discipline and the determination. The people that are hungry have that determination. One of my students, 14 years ago, roughly, maybe it's a little bit less, but he's flipped over 6,000 properties. He's flipped over 6,000 properties. His discipline, his determination. He left me a message about a month ago. He was in Mobile, Alabama, and looking at 2 whole streets in Mobile. They were going to flip. They're going to rehab them and flip them. They're probably close to done by now. Those are people I respect because they have the dedication, the discipline, the determination, and the desire. So this is a magic word I feel you need. Also, again, some of these principles always worked in the past, will continue to work in the future. So take a look at some of the key things we talked about. The SMART technique has worked for years. Passive income has worked for years. Time is life. You master your time, you master your life. I mentioned time is T-I-M-E. I, me, controls my time. And life is L-I-F-E. And so the part of wealth creation is based on a bunch of if decisions. If I do this, then that's going to happen. If I don't do this, then that's going to happen. So how are you managing your if decisions as you're building wealth? See, a month ago, I said, if you put $10,000 max in a I bond, you're going to earn 9.62%. If you didn't, you're not earning 9.62%. I feel good personally. I've got some money sitting someplace in a safe environment, earning 9.62% while I'm talking to you. That's the mindset. And then above all, realize that basically wealth management is time control. Wealthy people have time to do other things, whatever it is. They're not locked into a schedule. They're not locked into a lot of commitments unless they choose to make them. They're choosing, they're prizing, and they're acting. That's a great way to clarify your life. Am I choosing freely, choosing from alternatives? Am I prizing and cherishing? And am I continually affirming I do these over and over? Whether it's a mastermind club you meet once a week, whether it's a group you get together with, whether it's a charity you're involved in, when you have that wealth, you have some time. We have a candidate in Chicago for mayor that's given away several $1 million so far in free gasoline. He's wealthy, and he is running for mayor, and he's giving some of his wealth back. I think Jeff Bezos just announced he's going to be giving all of his wealth away. But he's got a lot of time control. And then we started this day with our main objective, and we'll leave with that. The fact that there's 4 types of wealth. So look at yourself as you leave here and think about my time control. How am I fitting in the social aspect of it and the physical aspect of it? See, if I have time on my side, I can do healthy things. I can do social things. And above all, I can make some money. But once again, money and wealth are different. Again, assets minus liabilities equal net worth. Loads of people make a lot of money, but loads of people spend a lot of money. Other people don't make as much money, but they spend less money and their net worth is higher. See, the key is not how much you own, it's how much you own that you don't owe on. That's wealth. How much do you own that you don't owe on? Because you can make a lot of money. But if you're spending all of it, you're not building wealth. And that's why we have so many people that are going to have some serious retirement problems. And that's why many of them are doing reverse mortgages. They got to use the wealth of their home they built up, the equity in their home, to stay alive. So please, as you leave here today, as you get to celebrate Thanksgiving with family, friends, or whatever you're going to be doing for Thanksgiving, remember my goal today was for you to realize you can buy yourself some time and freedom as you build wealth. And as you feel you're building more wealth, you'll feel the more time and freedom that you have. With that said, once again, I wish you a wonderful holiday as you get ready for whatever season you're celebrating, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas. Enjoy that. Realize a good example of time control is Black Friday really the best time to buy something? May not be. Remember, you've been in Wayne's World, and I hope you left here with more than you came into. Happy holidays. See you next week.